So you're thinking of moving to the Greater Lansing area, and you've heard a lot about Grand Ledge, you've heard some about Delta Township, and you're wondering, what areas should I live in on the west side of town? Well, in this video, I'm going to address some of the pros and cons, some of the tips of living on the west side of town. And if you stay tuned until the end, I will share with you the major corporations that live right in this area. And so if you're looking to potentially move here and you're moving due to one of those jobs, this might be the place for you because it could be right down the street from where you're looking to live. So I invite you to sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink. I've got my LaCroix here because we're gonna get started with this episode of Lansing, Michigan Life right now. Hey everybody, Troy Seifert here with the Capital Area Real Estate Specialist in the Greater Lansing, Michigan area. And as you can see with my attire here, it's getting a little bit colder outside. So out come the flannels. On one of my videos a few days ago, I had to wear my flannel. It is getting colder out there. So for the next several months, you'll see me in long sleeve shirts, not my shorts and t-shirt weather, which is fine. It's just the way Michigan is. And for future, I'll probably be doing a video on the weather in Michigan, just so that you're aware of that. But with the weather changing, it's getting closer to the springtime when people look to move, right? So if you're watching this channel, you're looking to move to Lansing, Michigan within 9 days, 90 days, 9 months from now, feel free to contact me in the information in the description below. My phone number's there, so call me, text me, email me, also schedule a Zoom call with me, or another option I have for you is contact me on WhatsApp. I had somebody reach out to me yesterday, a legitimate person who lives in Ohio who wanted to connect through WhatsApp, and that's fine as well too. Whatever way is most comfortable for you, we'd be more than happy to help you out in your next move to Lansing, Michigan. Also, if this is your first time watching the channel, I would encourage you to like, subscribe, or ring the bell for any notifications so that you can be the first to be notified whenever there's a new episode of Lansing, Michigan Life that comes out live, which would be around like one to two times a week. Maybe you've been watching this channel for a while, you haven't done it yet, please do that just so that you can be, again, the first to be notified for new episodes, because we're going to be having a lot of great content coming up here for you as well. All right, so I'm going to be doing this next episode, like if you've been following my channel, I've been doing different suburbs of pros and cons, right? This one's going to be a little different because we've got a pretty large area in Greater Lansing. This is like where Delta Township and Grand Ledge meet. This is like the fourth largest pocket of Greater Lansing. You got close to around like a little over 40,000 people that take up this area. With the way that the townships and the taxing authorities are made, Delta Township has like about a 36 square mile radius to it. Then you got Grand Ledge that's right next door to it. And so you got schools, different school systems, that sort of thing. So I thought it was important to almost do a versus, like Grand Ledge versus Delta Township, and do some pros and cons and give you some tips for this, just because these two are so close to each other that you'll probably, if you're looking to move to the area, you'll probably be looking at homes within a few miles of each other. But knowing some of these tips, knowing some of these pros and cons, might make you say to me, hey, Troy, like I only want to look for places in Delta Township because I don't want this or I don't want that. So hopefully this video will be very helpful for you as I get into this. The other thing I want to preface before I get into the content is someone had pointed out to me like, hey, you had missed the Lansing and Holt schools in Delta Township. And I am aware of that I missed out on those. But the reason I did that is because Waverly and Grand Ledge schools, both of those primarily make up a lot of Delta Township. And if you are somebody who lives here in the area and you hear Delta Township, what comes to your mind first is the western part of Lansing, where where the Lansing Mall is, where all the restaurants, where all the shopping is. So when I'm referencing Delta Township, I really am meaning that pocket that's just west of the downtown area. So I would encourage you to, just to be able to keep that in mind, because Delta Township is a very large area, but I am focusing just on the one strip, to the west of downtown, and then Grand Ledge goes a little bit further to the west. The first versus I would want to say for Grand Ledge versus Delta Township has to do with the outdoors. So Delta Township has some really nice parks. They have Sharp Park, they have Delta Mills Park in Delta Township. Then they also have another one that's a little further south of where Saginaw Highway would be. It's on Mount Hope Road. They call it Mount Hope Park. Some decent parks, and that Mount Hope Park does connect to a neighborhood in Delta Township, and that was one of the neighborhoods that I had put on one of my prior videos. The Delta Township does have a pathway that goes for 4 miles from Sharp Park over to Canal Road. It's about a 4-mile stretch where you start, the easternmost part would be Sharp Park, and you walk 4 miles west, and they just directly connect behind like all the retail, all the restaurants. Just this nice nature trail that takes you to Canal Road, which is very close to I-96, I-69 corridor. So it's a very popular area, or it's a very popular interstate where there's a lot of traffic. So another park that's right by the end of where that east to west parkway is, towards the western part side, is Delta Mills Park. And they have a really large playground there. They have a pickleball court league that's over there. It's a beautiful park that's over there. But if you are an outdoor enthusiast, Grand Ledge definitely has the edge, because they have Fitzgerald Park, which has a river walk that goes for, I want to say it's at least like 2 or 3 miles, where all you see are just what they call the ledges. That's why it's called Grand Ledge. And you see these stone structures as you're walking, you see bridges, you're seeing the Grand River right beside you, and then it takes you to another park known as Island Park, where you have a nice little gazebo area and where people have weddings. And this is a place where photographers, they have their heyday, especially during the fall when there's different colors out there. It's a very popular place for photographers as well. And so with Grand Ledge, having a river running right through it, you have kayaking, you have that option. You have options for rock climbers. You just have lots more beautiful trails and a lot more beautiful nature and scenery. So for outdoor enthusiasts, if you are big into that and you still lived in Delta Township, you would have some nice little walkways, some pathways, but then about 10 minutes down the road, you would have Grand Ledge. So, hey, it would still be within, a good driving distance. But if you're like, I want to be close to this stuff, this is what I want, this is what helps me keep me happy in life, I love seeing nature, then Grand Ledge would probably be the place for you there. So I give the edge to Grand Ledge for the outdoor living, outdoor life. Number 2 have to do with the schools. So Grand Ledge, if you look at my previous video that's talking about the map tour, Grand Ledge, the schools are pretty spread out. It's a very large area. They have like a little over 5,000 students from pre-K until 12th grade. So it's one of the largest school districts in our entire area. The rating they have on niche.com, which is a review site, and if you ever want to see anything about school ratings, go to niche.com, niche.com. The grade that the Grand Ledge has is a B+. Now the other major school system, which is in Delta Township area, is Waverly schools. If you looked at my map tour in Delta Township, you saw how close together the Waverly schools are. They're extremely close, not that far away. Elementary school is really close to the middle school and high school. That school system has roughly around 2,900 students, so far smaller. And their rating that they have on niche.com is a C+. Now, with Delta Township and Grand Ledge, with the schools, you could be in Delta Township but be in the Grand Ledge school system. That is an option if you really wanted to do that. Just be aware with the Grand Ledge being a little bit spread out, when you're in Delta Township, Grand Ledge is going to be that much further away for you, especially for the middle school and the high school. If you are looking for maybe a country property, you might be over at Holbrook, or you might be over at Wacusta, which is the northern part. Again, it's a very spread out area. You could be traveling, especially to the middle school and high school, depending on where you live, a good 10 to 15 minutes with traffic and everything else. So something for you to keep in mind. But another thing for you to keep in mind as far as the schools go is that Grand Ledge is far larger than Waverly. So if you're thinking for opportunity for your kids, there might be more programs at Grand Ledge. There might be more opportunity for growth. Sometimes with the larger school systems, they might have just more people, more bodies to be able to help out. So that's something to keep in mind as well if you're looking into the different school systems. So for schools, I would give Grand Ledge the edge, yes, just because of the grade that they have and the size. But again, you can still live in Delta Township and still go to Grand Ledge schools, either from school of choice, if you're in the Waverly School District or another school district, or if you're in Delta Township but the school system's Grand Ledge. Like there's plenty of those options available. Okay, number 3. So the thing you have to keep in mind of Grand Ledge versus Delta Township is that Grand Ledge is going to give you a little bit more of the small town feel. And it has a little bit more of a historic feel to it. So you're going to have a beautiful downtown. Again, watch my vlog video of the downtown. The downtown's beautiful, it's historical. There's a lot of really cool places in the downtown. You have a movie theater there, you have a bakery there, you have an amazing Italian restaurant there. So Grand Ledge has more of the local places, and then like, if you think about the main strip there in Grand Ledge, it's really a lot of fast food chains. There might be a Pizza Hut, and there's a Dairy Queen there. I love Dairy Queen soft serve ice cream. I don't know about you guys, but I love having a Blizzard. So that's what Grand Ledge is like. You're not gonna get a lot of restaurant options. They do have a locally owned place called Sophia's House and Pancakes. I love going there, Greek-owned restaurant. So Grand Ledge is gonna have a little bit more of the small town feel. But if you go a little bit east over to Delta Township has more population. Obviously, it's about 33,000 people. They're gonna have more of the retail, more of the shopping. They're gonna have more chain restaurants. There are a few local places in Delta Township, but more often than not, you're gonna see more of the national chains. And then you're not gonna see that much of a historical district within Delta Township. So it's just gonna be the place where you go and do things. And so traffic is gonna be a little bit heavier over there. And you know, if you don't like crowds, you kind of have to get used to it in Delta Township if that's where you're ultimately going to be able to live. So Grand Ledge versus Delta Township. Grand Ledge has a small town feel. Delta Township has more of the larger city feel, more of the hustle and bustle. The next thing I want to point out is that it has to do with diversity. I bring up diversity every single time because I just want you to get a picture of when you move to a certain area, what does the diversity look like? Just the Grand Ledge city area, okay, is less diverse than Delta Township. In the last census that we had in Grand Ledge, 91% of the people associated themselves as, or identified themselves as white. And so the rest would be any other race that is out there. While in Delta Township, in the last census, 75% of the population identified themselves as white. Big difference. And as time has gone on, what you see in Delta Township, there definitely are different pockets of diversity here and there. And what I mean by that are, you know, because of the corporations in the area and who they bring to the area, I do feel diversity, especially in Grand Ledge school system, has improved. And I think I might have talked about the diversity in the Grand Ledge school systems in one of my prior videos. So that has definitely improved over time. But there are different pockets where you're gonna see more diversity than others. So it's just something for you to be aware of as you're looking to find the right place in the west side of town. Number 6, and this is something that I have brought up as a major con with Grand Ledge, so it has to be addressed in here. So when it comes to water, now obviously if you're looking for a country property, you're not gonna have to worry about this because you're gonna have to have a water softener. You might have a filtration system. You have your own well, septic. You don't even have a water bill. So I'm excluding all country properties from this. These are people who have public water, public sewer, okay? Grand Ledge city water and sewer versus Delta Township city water and sewer. And hands down, the advantage goes to Delta Township city and water, okay? The city sewer, city water. I lived in Delta Township, so I can attest to the fact that Delta Township uses Lansing Board of Water and Light, which has one of the best tasting tap waters around, like even in the world. They've had taste tests, I'm not lying about that. And so Delta Township definitely has the better tasting drinking water. And a lot of people in Delta Township, if you're Delta Township water, you're not gonna have some of the additional things like a water softener. The water's not that incredibly hard. You go over to Grand Ledge, and if you're in Grand Ledge City, you're gonna have to have a water softener, probably a water filtration system. The water's a lot harder over there. And then the cost, the monthly cost in the last 5 years has gone up $56 a month in the last 5 years. $56 a month in the last 5 years. And then The mayor just came out with just a statement about why there was such increased costs. The mayor says the increased costs are because the city of Grand Ledge has to pay for an improved wastewater facility estimated to cost around $50 million and a $17 million iron removal facility for water. So that's why the costs have gone up. And so there are projected increases. I think for next year, they said it's gonna be about another $15 a month. So if you're looking to move to Grand Ledge City, that's something you have to be aware of on your utilities, is that you are going to have higher monthly costs for water, and then you're also more than likely, if your house doesn't already have it, are gonna need to invest in a water softener or water filtration system, and you're gonna have to keep up with that upkeep. Some people rent their water filtration systems, so you might have to assume that with the next house that you buy to continue to rent out. So it's something for you to be, again, just completely aware of as you're moving here, because a lot of people don't realize that when they move. About the water. They only hear all the good things, right? So that's why I'm here to kind of tell you the things to be careful of. The next thing has to do with taxes, okay? So as far as taxes, Grand Ledge versus Delta Township, what you have to be aware of for this is that Grand Ledge City has a higher tax millage than Delta Township does, even if you were to be in any of the pockets of Delta Township. So Grand Ledge City has 47 mills. What that would mean for you for a $200,000 house if you were assessed, like I would say, no, more so like a $400,000 house. Okay, you have a $400,000 house, they assess half the value at $200,000, they tax you on all of that for $200,000. That would roughly be close to $10,000, between $9,500 to $10,000 for your taxes. Delta Township, if you go to Delta Township Grand Ledge schools, it's 10 less mills. So that's a significant savings. It goes down to 38 mills. If you're in Lansing schools or Holt schools within Delta Township, it goes to the low 40s, but still not as high as the 47 mills in Grand Ledge City. And then in the outskirts, like where the country properties are in Grand Ledge, so if you're like Oneida Township, Roxanne Township is another one, those are going to be lower, a bit lower in the mills as well too, like mid-30s for that. So again, something for you to be aware of when you're looking at costs for taxes are that there is a millage break in Delta Township versus Grand Ledge City. Grand Ledge City is gonna have the higher millage total. And last but not least, I kind of told you here, hey, stay tuned for the end of like what, all the corporations and that are in this area. So Delta Township primarily has a lot of the job corporations. So if you're wanting to be closer to your job and to your work, Delta Township would definitely have the advantage over Grand Ledge City. And the reason for that is because you have Amazon, which just opened their warehouse just this past year. So we have a huge Amazon warehouse that opened. We have a Meyer distribution center in our area. We have Auto Owners, which employs a ton of people, Auto Owners Insurance Company. We have the General Motors Delta plant, which we get a lot of relocations from people looking to be there. And then we also have Michigan Farm Bureau, another insurance company, and that's just to name a few. There are other corporations that are around, but on the west side of town, those are primarily the largest employers. So Delta Township, if you're looking to live there, you're gonna be a lot closer to your work. If you go to Grand Ledge, which is further west, you'd be looking at about a 10-minute commute, depending on where you live in Grand Ledge. If you're in the outskirts, it might be 10 to 15 minutes, depending on traffic. So Delta Township, if you really wanna have a closer commute and not be far away from your job, I would honestly entertain then looking at just Delta Township for your area. And us as realtors we can edit your searches to only include Delta Township and that's it. Because there is a line to Grand Ledge and Delta Township where you're going far west into Delta Township and you're almost at Grand Ledge, and that's where Delta Township breaks off. It's on a road called Nixon Road. That's where the break off is. And then if you go west of Nixon, that's gonna be Grand Ledge City. So there's a lot of people that just use the pocket of that and go all the way to that edge that they possibly can. That's where a lot of home builders are building their homes because they know that there's that tax break that I talked about, right? That's important. The tax break is there. They know that people want to be closer to their jobs. So if you're looking into new home construction, you will have more options in Delta Township just because there's more of a demand for that. Home prices are about the same in Grand Ledge and Delta Township, depending on where you're at. If you do go over to the Waverly School side, the cost of homes might be significantly less, but it's only because there's a lot of smaller homes over in the Waverly School District area. But overall, it's pretty similar in pockets of Delta Township to where Grand Ledge would be. That's why it's hard to give you an average of like, well, this is what Delta Township averages and this is what Grand Ledge, because Delta Township takes that 36-mile radius. Grand Ledge, a lot smaller area, right? So that's why I haven't really addressed the average costs of homes, because it's going to be roughly about the same, and it's just tough when Delta Township is so large. So I do appreciate you coming onto this channel, taking a look at this, I guess, little rivalry versus Grand Ledge and Delta Township. And again, if you're looking to relocate, all my information is in the description below. I would love for you to be able to reach out. I would love to talk with you on the phone or schedule a Zoom or connect with me through WhatsApp. I'm open to any of that. Also, if you like what you saw and you want to be notified immediately of any future videos, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications for any future episode of Lansing, Michigan Life that's going to come live, which will probably be very soon. And also, if you do have any questions on what I've talked about, if you want to comment on that, I will be more than happy to interact with you there too. So that is the end of this episode. I appreciate you all tuning in, and until next time, make it a great day. Take care.